The Red Sea is a vital artery of global commerce, connecting Europe to Asia and carrying a huge share of the world's trade. For centuries, empires have fought for control of this narrow corridor, knowing its power to shape global fortunes. At its southern mouth, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait is a critical choke point, where the fate of global supply chains can be decided. On the Horn of Africa, two ports, Djibouti and Assab, stand as gatekeepers to this immense flow of wealth. Their rivalry is about more than cranes and containers. It's a contest of ambition and shifting geopolitical influence. Ancient powers like Egypt, Rome, and Britain all recognize the Red Sea's strategic value. Today, the stakes are even higher. A disruption here sends shockwaves through the global economy. Djibouti has long been the primary maritime gateway for landlocked Ethiopia, turning itself into a regional powerhouse. But now, Assab is re-emerging, threatening to upend the established order. The world is watching as this contest could redraw the economic map of the Horn of Africa. Global giants, China, the US, and the UAE, have vested interests and are placing their bets. This isn't just about port efficiency. It's about controlling access to one of the world's fastest-growing continents. The outcome will shape the economic future of Djibouti, Eritrea, and Ethiopia, and influence global strategy. The competition is a microcosm of the New World Order, involving rising powers and old alliances. Who wins this high-stakes game could shape the destiny of the region for generations. The battle for Africa's gateway has never been more intense. Djibouti has long been the undisputed king of Red Sea ports, thanks to its prime location and stability. Over 95% of Ethiopia's trade flows through Djibouti, fueling the nation's prosperity and funding its development. Billions have been invested in modernizing its port infrastructure, including the state-of-the-art Dorale container terminal. Djibouti's port is more than a transit point. It's the heart of the nation's economy and a lifeline for Ethiopia. But this success comes with a risk, near total dependence on Ethiopia as its main customer. Any shift in this relationship could devastate Djibouti's revenue and threaten its economic model. The government has tried to diversify, but the port remains central to its fortunes. Maintaining exclusive ties with Ethiopia has shaped Djibouti's policies and priorities. Investments like the railway to Addis Ababa have strengthened this bond. Yet, as Ethiopia grows, its desire for alternatives increases. Djibouti's monopoly, once its greatest strength, now makes it vulnerable to change. The winds from Eritrea's Assab port are blowing, and Djibouti can't afford to ignore them. Across the border, Assab port in Eritrea is stirring back to life. Once Ethiopia's main gateway, Assab fell silent after the 1998 border war. Its infrastructure left to decay. The 2018 peace agreement between Ethiopia and Eritrea changed everything, reopening the door for Assab's revival. For Ethiopia, Assab offers a chance to diversify trade routes, cut costs, and gain leverage. But reviving Assab is a massive challenge. Its facilities are outdated and roads need rebuilding. Eritrea lacks the capital for such an overhaul and will need international partners to transform Assab into a modern port. Despite the hurdles, the political will is strong. Eritrea sees economic lifelines. Ethiopia sees strategic options. Even if Assab handles only a fraction of Ethiopia's trade, its existence pressures Djibouti to compete. The mere prospect of competition could lower prices and improve services for Ethiopia. For Eritrea, a functioning port means jobs, revenue, and reintegration into the regional economy. The awakening of Assab is more than an economic project. It's a symbol of a new era in the Horn of Africa. The stakes are high, and the region is watching closely. Assab's revival could reshape trade and power dynamics across the Horn. The competition is on, and the outcome is far from certain. The Horn of Africa stands at a crossroads. The return of Assab as a major port would send shockwaves through the region, with Djibouti at the epicenter. Djibouti's monopoly has allowed it to charge some of the world's highest port fees, with Ethiopia forced to pay. If Assab becomes a viable alternative, Djibouti would be forced to slash prices, threatening its national revenue. This could mean painful budget cuts and stalled development for Djibouti. For Ethiopia, competition means lower costs, more options, and greater leverage. Two ports would provide crucial redundancy, making Ethiopia's supply chain more resilient. The economic balance of power would shift toward Ethiopia, allowing it to negotiate better terms. Regionally, lower logistics costs could attract investment and spur new transport corridors. But the transition could create political tensions and new winners and losers. The economic shockwave would ripple far beyond the port gates. The Djibouti-Assab rivalry is a high-stakes geopolitical game. Djibouti hosts military bases for the US, China, France, and others, making it a global security hub. The UAE has established a military presence in Assab, using it as a base during the Yemen conflict. The port rivalry is now a proxy for international competition. UAE, China, and the West all have interests at stake. Ethiopia gains leverage, but must navigate these complex alliances carefully. The ports are now platforms for military and political influence, not just trade. Any local dispute could draw in global powers, raising the stakes for regional stability. The Horn of Africa's coastline has become one of the world's most strategic battlegrounds. The world's superpowers are watching the Djibouti Assab contest closely. China has invested heavily in Djibouti, making it a flagship for its Belt and Road Initiative and its first overseas military base. Beijing wants Djibouti to remain dominant to protect its investments and prestige. The US and Europe, wary of China's influence, see Assab's rise, backed by the UAE, as a way to balance the scales. The UAE is expanding its network of ports and bases, using Assab to project power and profit from Ethiopian trade. The rivalry between Djibouti and Assab mirrors the broader competition between China and the UAE. Ethiopia, Eritrea, and Djibouti now make decisions under the watchful eyes of their powerful patrons. Incentives and investments from these powers will shape the future of both ports. The Horn of Africa has become a grand stage for 21st century geopolitics. The outcome will be decided as much in foreign capitals as on the docks. The future of the Red Sea port rivalry could unfold in several ways. Intense competition could benefit Ethiopia, but destabilize Djibouti and deepen geopolitical divides. Managed cooperation could allow both ports to thrive, boosting regional resilience and prosperity. Or, Assab's revival could falter, leaving Djibouti's monopoly intact and the region vulnerable. The stakes are enormous. This is a battle for control over Africa's primary gateway. The outcome will shape the economic destiny of three nations and the strategic landscape of the Red Sea. Whether this leads to shared prosperity or heightened tension remains to be seen. The world is watching as the future of trade and power in the Horn of Africa is decided. The next chapter is being written on the shores of the Red Sea.